Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is a boom bar right here on your boom radio NG. My name is Dolupo, and I wish you a warm welcome this wet Thursday afternoon from the city of Lagos. It's been a pretty wet day. I think that I don't know if wherever you are it's still raining. It kind of stopped here, but it was pretty wet today. Actually, it's been a pretty wet day. But it still does not mean that we're not going to have fun. It is a bomba, like I said, and we're going to be having so many things to talk about. And especially if you are in Nigeria, you will know that today is 2 years of the Tinubu administration and most governors in Nigeria. Why I said most governors is because some governors have some off-cycle elections. Some have done way past 2 years. Some have not done up to 2 years. But most governors definitely have done 2 years. So it's time to check the midterm scores, what they've done, what they're doing, and what they're still going to do. There are quite a number of things that we're going to be talking about today. So from the federal government to the state, we are going to be talking about that. Also, moving on from that, the federal government had made a few announcements, actually made quite a number of announcements about things that we are supposed to that's going to happen today at the bar. So we're going to be talking a lot of that. There's still a lot of sports as well. Would we say there's fire on the mountain as Elon Musk seems to, or would we say there's trouble in paradise as Elon Musk has left his position as in the US government? Isn't that too early? That and a lot of other things are stuff that we're going to be talking about today at the bar. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's show. My name is Dolupo, and with me in the studio is Sola Rogers.
Good morning.
Sorry.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the bar, people.
Okay, so let's get right into today's show. Like I said, first things first. President Tinubu's 2-year in office, and it seems to have gained a lot of it's something a lot of people have been waiting for. And like I said, the man had a statement out, so maybe it's time to check his scorecard. In your own opinion, what can you say that President Tinubu has done a few things, or would I say that, or let me put it like this, as he fulfilled some of his promises?
Well, I'm probably not the best person to answer that question, but I have been observing a lot at the federal and state level, and of course we're in a scenario where at times answering questions is actually premised on some affiliations or knowledge or whatever. But in my very own honest review, I like to say that a lot has happened, and President Tinubu's promises cannot be met in 2 years. He came with a lot of ambitious plans. One of the craziest things I've ever seen anybody do in the 50 plus years that I've spent in this life is a politician that takes these tough decisions that definitely would mess them up if they don't pull it off. You get? So I like to say kudos to him for at least having the lever to say subsidies gone from day one, floating the naira, and of course basically following the PIA that was signed under President Buhari, where of course the regulation came to pay everything all at the same time. And it was a terrible time for Nigerians. Still is to a large extent, because I'm not going to lie about that. Things really went crazy. The cost of energy more or less went times 3, times 4 in some cases. But in between that, we've seen some marked improvement, and we've also experienced a lot of exploitation by businessmen and women. has he fulfilled his promises? I can't say that in 2 years. But has he made some bold moves? Yes, he has. Has he made some improvements? Yes, in some areas. For instance, you must, whether you hate this man or not, you must give him kudos for the education sector in Nigeria. The fact that in tertiary education, not a single case of ASU strike in 2 years. ASU strikes were like rain and tax in Nigeria. You know that taxes have to be paid. You know that it will rain, and you know that ASU strikes will happen. So in education, I think you can say it's done well. In that area, especially in tertiary education, then the NEL fund that actually provided loans to people who wanted them, especially those who attend government-owned schools. That I think is also very massive, because it has a ripple effect. There's a way, because Nigerians are actually known to have multiple kids. A lot of Nigerians have 3, 4, 5 kids, and their age gaps are not always too far apart. So at times you have 3, 4 kids in uni, and it becomes a burden. Then again, still in education, that also had a ripple effect on the labor market and on the minimum wage, because you're like, oh man, things have gone up. Energy costs affected everything, but that led to the increase in the minimum wage. And people always forget that minimum wage is just a benchmark. I've been seeing a lot of. I saw a guy tweet something the other day, and I felt like, are you really this thick about? It's just that you're just playing politics. So I digress. Sorry, yeah. Someone very popular tweeted that he had been charged 50,000 naira for overspeeding on the 3rd mainland bridge, a bridge that has signs that says 80 is the speed limit. A bridge that I have applied in the last 1.5 months on almost every week, at least once or twice, and I've been one of the slowest people of that bridge, because even if not for nothing, the fact that I might have to pay, I even though it was 20k, I didn't know it was 50k. I'm like, no, I would rather go slow. And you see people honking you off when you're doing your 60 or 70. And the bridge has had a lot of accidents. And there's someone, and a bridge that this same Tinubu just resurfaced and more or less fixed. So it's smooth now, and people can run very fast on it. And someone comes and says they find you. And another guy goes, oh, a country that's paying 70k minimum wage is finding people 50k. And someone said, most people who earn 70k, although nobody does in the federal government, because that's a benchmark. Yeah. Most people they don't own cars, that they go by bus or whatever. And the guy says he earns 70k and he goes by bus and he drives a car. Oh, yeah. And I said to myself, you don't even know how to lie. you how do you come? And he's been going off on Twitter, and I'm like, is this guy okay? One, nobody earns 70k in government. I repeat again. And if you don't agree with me, please prove me wrong. But this is where I was going. One, don't overspeed.
Let's first start from there.
Do you understand? Don't overspeed. Like, seriously, it will take you all of 10 or 15 minutes to go off that bridge if you don't overspeed. You get, and you still get to where you're going safely. But, yeah, so minimum wage was increased. And still staying with education, I said those are the pluses. There are a lot of minuses for me in education, and it's happening under his government, so there are no excuses for him. The JAMB examination was a big minus for Tinubu's government. It's wrong, and I don't know how they're going to come to a solution on it, but it shouldn't be happening. Then, the story of people writing their WAEC at night with candlesticks and all sorts. Come on, let's get real.
You know that word you'll say, okay, is WAEC, is West Africa.
No. However, it's in Nigeria.
You know my issue with that is that at times I'm like, can we have a bit of sense? Why I said so is because, yes, you might say because of logistics. What's it called? Things didn't get to that point. Materials didn't get there at that point. Couldn't it have been postponed? Like,
they will tell you that it's leaked.
People don't have sense. I'm sorry, but it's not sense. But anyway, talking about education, still we're talking about education, but we're still going back to there are quite a number of things. But since we're on education, I actually wanted to announce, that the federal government has now said that, the new technical schools they're building now, looks like
and even the existing ones,
the federal government seems to want to encourage more people to go into that. Basically, what they're saying is that every single work that anybody wants to do at the moment now, that it should have there should be certification for it. And that's what they're now saying, is that if you attend those technical schools now, there is a 45,000 naira monthly stipend for you
to go and learn.
Free money.
To go and learn. Yes. And it's not,
and they're saying
loan,
that it's not
like
a loan.
Nelfond, it's a grant.
This is not your school fees or anything. When you go and you pay your fees and all that, and I think that there is even free. I think it's free now. For the next session, it's free. So you're gonna have free school, and then you're still gonna be paid 45,000 naira monthly. And I think it is fantastic. I think a lot of people need to rush.
Now, the beauty of this, and if we refuse to play politics with it, is that a lot of products from those technical schools are very sound. There are people who have acquired skills, but those skills are now becoming
extinct,
scarce.
Yes,
you can say extinct too, but they are not readily available anymore because there are fewer people.
Even the fewer people that do those things now, if you're not careful, they're not properly standardized work. There was a particular picture that someone had posted of a building, and someone said this bricklayer had to have gone to school to do this kind of job.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost like it didn't need plastering. It was the angles, it was so really good. Do you understand? And I think that that's what we need to do, even up to shoemaking. And because if you actually go abroad, there is certification for everything. You have to get certification, no matter how tiny you think it is, or you just want to sell, you have to have certification. And I remember, was it the last administration where they were merging a lot of schools together and turning them to universities? I remember you had talked about it, that some of these things, it's better as technical schools. It's not everybody that will go to university or polytechnic. We still need these skills to be learned. So I think that this is a very good one. I hope that more people try and let's educate more people that around that can do this. And it might seem like, they're trying to lure people in. Yeah, it's not a bad idea to actually get paid to go to school. People need education, and I think that the more educated people are, the more enlightened. It's even good for the country, and that's the truth.
So that's another thing in education. Speaking about that, that even talking about expanding the NEL fund to cover other aspects of education that is not necessarily tertiary education
alone. Also, still on this education matter, the Minister of Education has now talked about how they're actually looking at building 8 medical simulation centers around the country set to boost medical training as well. So it's not just about going to school. There's the teaching hospitals, but now they're actually like proper training institutes as well for medicine, which I think that it's also a fantastic thing. I hope that it's not just talk and these things can be put into action. Now let's move on from education and let's go back to President Tinubu's 2-year administration that we have all witnessed. Now, we know that a lot of major things, like you had said, was one of the things that he did a lot was came up first day and said, this thing is going. We're floating naira is going. Yes, he seems to be good, or would I say that he seems to have the lever that a lot. We know that presidents from time to time, especially former President Buhari, literally danced around the issue of fuel subsidy removal for 8 years. And when he was going to finally agree to it, he signed it so that it was a month after he left government. Interesting work. But President Tinubu said, you know what, that 1 month grace, you're not even getting it. It's starting when it's starting. And he did that and all that. And for those reasons, there are quite a number of people that have a lot of things to say for and against. And while I'm going to pick two people's statements. Okay. One, former vice president and PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar had quite an interesting thing to say about President Tinubu's administration. And also from the business angle, the chairman of Boa Foods, Rabiu Abdul Samad, also had a very interesting take on President Tinubu's 2-year administration. So first, Atiku Abubakar, I'm going to read just a few. And the first paragraph says, in just 2 years, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration has proven to be one of the most incompetent, disconnected, and anti-people governments in Nigeria's democratic history. No previous administration has inflicted this level of hardship on the masses while showing such disregard for transparency, accountability, and responsible leadership. Basically saying that there's a lot of wasteful spending, the removal of fuel subsidy and all that, those things, and that a lot of agencies keep increasing a lot of things. The amount of money the president has gone ahead to borrow, racking up debt, and and all that is the man definitely did not have a lot of nice things to say, which even if they're true or not true, I will not expect anything less. He's opposition. It would kind of be out of place if you see him saying all these nice things. However, somebody else seems to have a different perspective about President Bola Tinubu's administration. And the statement by Abdul Samad Rabiu, he in his point has said that, so let me read a few. He says that the removal of fuel subsidy is one of the most important decisions taken by this administration. Before, Nigeria was selling PMS at 200 to 250 naira per litre, which is about 25 to 30 cents. I doubt there's any country in the world where fuel was being sold. During my trip to Saudi Arabia for Lesser Hajj in February this year, I checked the pump price, and it was, when I converted it to naira, is about 1,500 naira per litre. That is Saudi Arabia. We could not afford the subsidy. And this is not just Nigerians who are benefiting from it. Yeah, it's subsidizing the entire region. That he had to say about that. He talked about the unification of foreign exchange regime, saying that unification of foreign exchange markets is another critical reform. He is calling it a reform. Said many of us in the business community spend most of our time chasing foreign exchange. Personally, spent half of my time trying to get FX from central bank. The central bank was the only source of official exchange, offering FX at about 500 naira when the parallel market was 800 naira. No business could survive outside the CBN structure. So he's saying that this helped. Also, he says that there's fairness, sanity, and stability in business. He said that we have to return to fairness. Under his administration, we've seen a return to fairness, saying that about 4 or 5 years ago, they opened a business in Port Harcourt, and that because the head of the Nigerian Ports Authority then wanted to impress a friend, that she went ahead and shut down the terminal and revoked the concession that they had.
She had such powers.
Apparently. And the lease agreement was terminated, however. And he's now saying that under President Tinubu, you cannot do that anymore. He will not allow you do such. He's saying that infrastructure is a key driver of development. He's saying, look at Kwara project under the tax credits scheme. There's Sokoto Badagry Road. He said the Okpebholo to Kogi corridor, the Lagos to North. And, it's basically saying that Boa is going to continue to bet on Nigeria. That he was talking to the president a few weeks ago. and basically talked about food security, that food security is on the mind of the president, blah, blah, blah. Bottom line is that this man, on the other hand, has beautiful things to say about President Tinubu.
Okay, so it's a two-way street. You already talked about His Excellency, former Vice President Atiku, presidential candidate PDP. And, of course, him basically not seeing anything good in the government.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, there's no way you see anything good in your opposition now. Someone that is your...
That sounds like that. It would actually have looked funny.
So that's how politics plays out. I understand that. However, if I was your spin doctor, if I was on your team, one of the things I'll tell you is there are times when you just keep quiet. You don't say anything because there are certain things that are good and there are certain things that are bad. And that's where you get to know a statesman beyond politics. It's beyond politics. And there are things that are bad that you can actually play up. But if you say everything is bad, nah, I don't think so. Nigeria's outlook internationally keeps getting upgraded.
Okay.
You get? So it looks like there's something good happening there. Nigeria has attracted a lot of FDI, foreign direct investment, in the last 2 years and more. There's a new bank that just opened, a new development bank. That's a foreign bank that just opened, and they're going to be, doing a lot of empowerment and stuff with businesses in Nigeria, Benin Republic, Ghana, and one. But they're in Nigeria as we speak, amongst others. The Brazilian deal in agriculture is there, and it's real. The one from Dubai is real. Saudi Arabia is real. India is now activating one of the trade agreements that the president had signed with them. So these things will take some time to bear fruit, and I believe a lot in the Nigerian project.
Yeah.
And whenever the president messes up here, we're not afraid to say it because we are neutral. But Nigeria comes first for us. So there are a lot of things that H.E. Atiku Abubakar said that I do not agree with. And there are some things that he said that is real. And the truth is people, they suffer. So whether the suffering is because we're going through the throes of a dying subsidy regime and moving into an era where everything is determined by the market forces.
Yeah.
Who they are or what they are, we don't know. We'll find out. And for Boa, on the other side, maybe he's just
he's a businessman, and the man is making money.
Yeah, maybe
so
maybe he's just an honest businessman that feels that, look, this regime is good and business is.
But the truth is, like,
it's thriving.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's driven by his gains, being directly connected to the president.
Exactly.
On at least 3 occasions, you've seen him on one-on-one sessions with Mr. President. You see him, especially during festive seasons, he's either in the president's house in Lagos or he's going to meet him in Abuja. And whenever they go, they come out to address the media. So is it because he's your person that you think is doing well? Or
maybe he's smiling to the bank.
Or should we just look generally at other Nigerian businesses and how they're all turning profits? We know banks will always turn profits, so let's not use those ones.
They're not using your money they're spending, so
a lot of the companies that are into manufacturing, you don't hear them complain anymore. And it's strange. It's strange. Take, for instance, the stock market. The stock market has been gaining. Do you get? It's not in the red. It's always just gone up since he took over. Then you look at all the big industries and how they are declaring profits. All of them are saying, no, they had a strong first quarter. They had a strong 2024. This is 2025. You're like, okay. So maybe, just maybe, Nigeria is turning the corner. Maybe, just maybe. The truth is that it's until the guy on the street actually starts to really, really
That's
feel
what
it.
I'm saying. Like, take, for example, Mr. Boa now. He's a big businessman. He has one of the largest companies. In fact, according to Forbes, he's one of the richest Africans, yeah? So if business is good for him, you can't say Nigeria is bad. Do you understand? Or you can't. That's where I'm coming from. Take, for example, Mr. Dangote that makes a lot of money now from fuel. There is the Dangote sugar, there's Dangote this, there's Dangote that. You can't say Nigeria is bad. But like you said, it now goes now if the rich and the poor can say, oh, it's getting better. Take, for example, all of a sudden now there's conversation that rice in the market is almost half this price. Do you understand? So if I can buy stuff regularly and it's cheaper.
Now that you're talking rice, that's food security, that's agriculture. There's a famous video of President Tinubu before he became president, when he was talking about, and that's why, in fact, that's one of the things that they used to yap people that is perceived as a Tinubu supporter openly or codedly. They'll say, "Con dey your pocket." Agbado people, Agbadorian. I've heard a lot of people use it derogatively to call people out. Because they said that you need to plant plenty corn. Let's talk about corn, for instance. Apart from people like Dolupo that will park on the express to buy corn.
Oh, yes, I will.
At every given opportunity.
Oh, yes, I will. I'm proud of it. I'm proud.
And either roasted or cooked, they shall buy corn.
I will buy.
And apart from people who like corn in their beans, there are other uses of corn. Like, for instance, poultry. They actually, it forms the fulcrum of what they feed the birds. But it became virtually impossible to get corn in Nigeria, and they started importing feed. And that's why the cost of egg has more or less gone through the roofs. I remember one popular Twitter farmer telling people to hoard their corns. Hoard it. Hoard maize or whatever. The child said they should hoard it. So, we've always suspected, because again, look at Nigeria that was not even manufacturing or growing rice or milling rice for decades. Suddenly, we have two of the biggest rice mills and several smaller mills.
Yeah.
Suddenly, there was a rice pyramid, as sponsored by government.
Rice now suddenly became expensive.
Why is it that when you started making rice locally, rice went up, both local and foreign? In fact, local rice became more expensive than foreign rice. You're like, okay, where's the sense in this? Especially knowing that government actually gave out grants to farmers in Nigeria, and suddenly rice went up. The only thing that could only make sense to someone like me, and I would like to learn if someone knows better, is that they were hoarding the produce. We all knew about the rebagging. There are several videos online. You see them bagging local rice as foreign.
Yeah.
We know about the...
or bagging foreign rice as local.
No,
yes.
They were bagging local rice as foreign. They were bagging local rice as foreign.
Yeah, but I saw when local rice became more expensive, they will now bag...
so chronologically, they were bagging local rice as foreign. Then, because Nigerians were now switching to... They now started doing the other way around. And again, they were smuggling a lot of these things to neighboring countries. Now, if you take all of this into context, maybe they were not producing enough. But there was Lake Rice and all these other local brands that were really going up. Cocharis, everybody was going into rice production. Everybody. But guess what? This government came and said, you know what? Open up the borders. Farmers started complaining. Open up the borders. Farmers started complaining. Give people rights.
Give people options. Import. Yeah.
And people started importing rice. Now, I don't like the idea of importing rice because it could mess up the local. But the local was not working anyway.
It wasn't producing enough anyway.
It's like rice is like what they used to gauge something in Nigeria. They use petrol and rice. And how much is petrol? How much is rice? So at the end of the day, rice importation has more or less corrected the anomaly in the Nigerian agricultural space. Now, farmers are aggrieved, and I get their anger. But you see, I don't think it's the farmers that are the ones that are hoarding food.
My issue with the farmers is that, is it the ones you're producing? Is it that you're not seeing it to sell?
No, you don't get it. They're off-takers. So they are selling. Farmers are producing and selling.
That's what I'm saying. So
the middlemen are the problem.
I get that point.
But farmers will be angry. You don't get it because farmers know that those people who are buying for them, they don't know if they're hoarding or not. They just know that the off-takers are buying from them. Now, if the off-takers are not buying from the farmers anymore, the farmers will suffer. You get? So what government needs to do is to get more creative and look for a way to reach the farmers directly. Look for a way to create storage silos. Look for a way to help them go from the farm to the mill, and we're talking rice specifically. At the end of the day, we still need that commodities board. We still need that competitions board. These people who will come and check and make sure that people actually pay the right value for things, so that the businessmen make their money.
Exactly.
I know, but of course, this government says, we don't want to force prices. We want market.
But that market forces,
in some instances, they will take advantage.
Yeah, they will take advantage of that.
All this one that you're saying you don't want to force. If crude goes up tomorrow, we know that you will find a way to regulate it. We know.
So let's do it. We do it. Yeah, let's do it for food as well. Anyway, so that these are things that we need to.
Still talking agri before you leave. There's a new awareness about growing what you eat.
Yes.
There's a new awareness that would also about help. Growing things locally. Again, also bearing in mind that there are too many genetically modified produce out there, so coming into Nigeria and different parts of Africa, and it more or less looks safer to buy local, grow local.
I think that insecurity is also another major issue that is happening,
like with Benue State.
Yeah, that is happening with food security in Nigeria. And why I also said so is because growing up, a lot of, especially fruits that we know that are imported, there are now variations of it that are being actually planted and grown in Nigeria. Take, for example, things like strawberries, apples. Those things are not Nigerian fruits. Yeah. But if we can even get those things, and we see, was it easy from Jos?
Yeah.
The large size of strawberries that come,
and even blueberries and stuff too.
Do you understand, that come from those places? Imagine if those people are doing a lot more. At least you're sure that you're getting fresh fruit, not one that has been on the sea for months.
And also speaking about 2 years, in 2 years, this also concerns the governors now. Mechanized farming has gone in leaps and bounds in certain parts of Nigeria. Mm-hmm. I would mention Kaduna State. I would mention Niger State. Yeah. I would mention Enugu State. I would mention Ekiti State. I would mention those 4 states. I think I'm leaving out 1 or 2. You get. But the reason why I would mention these 4 is we see what they're doing. Look at how much Governor Bago of Niger
investing in
bringing in trucks and tractors and everything.
Yeah.
And the incentives is giving coppers and everybody to go into farming
just to encourage people.
Same thing with the governor of Enugu State and what they're doing with Ekiti is very creative about their own, and they're doing very, very well, you know. And Lagos, yes, I knew I was leaving out someone. Lagos with their fresh food hub and the big one that they are planning for Okpebholo that will be ready in a few months' time, and the way they have decentralized and also upgraded markets. You know, there's a market not too far from here that used to be one of the dirtiest markets in the world. Now, the waste from that market is being used to generate power.
The environmental part of what Lagos is doing, you see them shutting markets down anyhow. Your stuff is not clean, it's shut down. So it's interesting way we have seen the president's work in 2 years. The truth is that, can he do more? Yes, but the truth also, I don't think it's all doom and gloom. Mm-hmm. I would understand Mr. Atiku's angle. He is opposition. That's what he's supposed to do. So it's okay. Do we have everything perfect? No, and we cannot have everything perfect until the regular person on the street feels it. You know, take for example, they say inflation has dropped. I don't understand inflation until I go and buy something and what I bought 1,000 naira yesterday is now 500 naira now. Then you can explain to me that yes, inflation has really reduced. And I think that's really what a lot of
health is another sector, thing that see improving. One of the biggest things that I like what the government has done is in the area of some surgeries that are now more or less virtually free
or subsidized, heavily subsidized,
you know?
yeah.
And it's actually something that even people who come from outside Nigeria will tell you that you guys don't know what you have.
Yeah, it's interesting.
You're about to move away from the 2 year thing.
In about another 2 years, it might actually not be a bad administration after all. But
let's see.
We'll see what is going to go. But before we leave the 2 years, let's go and talk a bit about governors. And a few governors, not a few, everybody has something to show off. At this point, I think that especially with the amount of money that governors have been getting, I think that everybody needs to come and tell everybody what they've been doing. I think that Nigerians deserve that. They deserve that. They deserve to know. Take, for example, the Kaduna governor. While doing a lot of commissioning today, I decided to brag and say that he has not borrowed 1 naira since he became governor.
So this can be premised on the fact that the federal allocation has increased, so has their IGL. And what that basically means is that how did the federal allocation increase? Because there's no more subsidy, which means the federal government could give the states and the local governments more money.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it means, basically.
That's what it means. It's interesting. You know...
so there are no excuses for any governor anymore. You can't just be dancing and singing and expecting something to happen. You know, you must be seen to have pulled off food off a few projects.
The governor of Delta State, Governor Sheriff, I don't want to murder his surname, so I will leave it out. As yesterday, he actually listed 42 projects that are due for commissioning in 2 years.
It's the same way with the governor of Anambra, who's just blasted projects all over Anambra and all of that, you know. The same way with the governor of Abia State, Alex Oti, who is doing his own bit and is doing very well.
Exactly. The governor of
if you think Oti is not doing well, remove your bias. If you think it's not, look at the people who were there before. Let them point out to the things that they achieved in their 4 years or 8 years that they were there. And Oti has barely done 2 years.
Yeah, I like I said, however, I think that it's still a tad bit unfair on the old ones because we can't use same indices at this point. We can't use same indices. These people are getting a lot more money. How
much was Fashola getting when he was doing Lagos like that?
But it's Lagos now.
But it's Lagos now. How much was Ajimobi getting when he was doing all the projects he did in Oyo?
Constituted authority. Excuse me.
Okay.
Excuse me.
All right.
The late Ajimobi.
You're about to disagree with me?
No, hold on. The man, I think that the man is too proud and too flippant. So, you know when you know that my mouth is bad, so I will not give you an opportunity to insult me.
Do you think it was a pass mark for him as a governor?
Yes, I think that he
Game
did well
over.
as
No
a governor.
excuses of what they were getting before as what they're getting. No excuses. That's all you just done. I've given you to go, and I can give you the third and the fourth one.
Yeah, but let's be honest. I think these ones have it easier.
Did you know when Kashim Shettima was governor?
I collected the double LIC French
Please, let's stop making excuses.
I will not even lie. I collected double.
That's 3. I've given you 3, and I can go on and on and on. I don't think it's a function of what they get from the center. I think it's a function of management. It's a function of knowing what you want to do. It's actually about governance. You see, some of them
so
are
we
just
can say that there's still governors that still collect this kind of money now, and they're not doing. They're
How
not
come
their
when
weight.
we're talking agriculture, we can only mention 4 to 5 to 6?
Okay, Jack, there's somebody on top of my head, but I'm not sure. I'm not
So
going to.
that's exactly names. So. No excuses. There are no excuses. This is how politicians get away with blue murder. There are no excuses. Call them out.
You got the job, so
call them out.
Do whatever it is.
Allocation or not, it's your job to increase IGL. In fact, if you're a serious governor, you will not touch allocation. I'm telling you, you won't wait for monthly allocation before you work.
You do what you're supposed to do.
Every state in Nigeria is rich.
Yes, a weekend did a lot. Anyway. The suspended governor Fubara also had something to say and is calling for healing and saying, let us turn the page and all that. But wait.
You know what they say? You know what they
this daddy is going
6
to
months
do 6
will
months.
complete. We said it. Yeah. You know what they say about the different stages of
grief.
Grief.
Anger. It's denial, then anger. I can't remember, but I know at the end because is what? Acceptance.
What is his message?
That you should
turn a new
leaf.
What does that mean? Acceptance. He has now gone through.
Yeah, he first started with the denial. There was a lot of denial. Then there was
anger somewhere.
There was a lot of anger. Where my boys will reply.
I will let my boys know when to.
Oh my God, y'all are just mean in this country.
Please, Lord of Ubara, run away from many people that are around you. Don't even run, chase them.
That's how this man is going to do 6 months at home.
Chase them.
Go 6 months holiday. Anyway, moving on from that quickly, and let's go at the Nigerian National Assembly, specifically the Senate, had yesterday passed the harmonized version of President Tinubu's tax reform bill. So they had harmonized the Green Chamber, that is the House of Representatives, and the Senate bills. They've harmonized it, and now the only thing that is left is now for it to be sent to the president for assent. And I'm sure the president is going to sign it.
There's no fuel for their car to take it to him immediately.
No, he's in Lagos, so he's on holiday. What
there's
do you
no
mean?
flight.
He's on holiday. Which he's
holiday?
Coming back. I'm sure it's going to be signed maybe after when he gets back. That's probably going to be the first thing he does when he gets back.
Dolupo.
They're not just ready, Abby.
Yeah. Let's not make excuses.
The president has a lot of things to do.
And the tax reform is not
Which
one.
is his own bill, though.
Come on.
Maybe he wants to make it a thing. Don't take it away from the celebration. When he comes back to Abuja, there'll be a whole fanfare around it and all.
Now, you see, these are the things. I remember when, I don't know if other governors had done it. I remember the day that Governor Ambode was sworn in. Man went to work that day. Yeah. I don't know. I wasn't really around when Fashola was sworn in. I don't know if he did.
I'm sure the man went to work.
Yeah, he's that kind of guy. So that's what I'm trying to say. You see, again, you must realize that there's no time. 4 years is like this. I still remember the electioneering process where people were at loggerheads. Now, there's a president and their governors who have spent 2 years. There is no time. Time waits for no one. So there are no excuses for this story. Look at the process that the thing went through. And it's now done. Kudos to them. Nobody had the balls to pull it off. Now they've done it. All you need is a biro and, some fuel to take it to wherever the president is to sign.
It's to sign.
Do you get? So I don't get all of that excuses when they start to make. I think it doesn't. Remember, there was a time when they will tell you that the Senate and the House of Welfare was going on recess. This particular house, at some point,
they came back.
They will come back when they are supposed to be on holiday. That's to show you how important these things are. If they could come back because of tax reform and this and that, why can't they come back? Why can't the president sign?
Yeah. It doesn't have to be in a certain place.
Nigeria needs healing immediately.
The man has an official residence in Lagos anyway. So
he doesn't even need official residence. He just needs biro.
Anyway, moving on from that, we're going to the courts. Interesting news today. May 29th, interesting news for Governor Okpebholo, as the appeal court has affirmed him as the Edo State governor, and they've thrown out Asuo Ighodalo's case. However, quickly, Asuo Ighodalo is saying that he's heading to the Supreme Court as he's not taking this lying down.
I would not expect anything less. He's a very, very well-known lawyer. Abi, is he not the lawyer?
Yeah.
The man's Abi in work. So, and again, not yet huru for Governor Okpebholo, because it's until the Supreme Court actually makes that pronouncement.
Yes,
and that's when he can actually say, okay, So it's not yet uhuru. However, we're still advocating for a scenario where all of this can be done
before the swearing in.
Man, this thing was November or so last year.
Yeah, because the truth is, if you really look at it,
this is the end of May.
If we look at the timing, maybe the things should be sped up. Take, for example, if we look at the general elections normally happens between February and March, and we know for a fact swearing in is May 29th. That's at least 2 months or a little over 2 months to do a lot of these things. If that is the case, the least we can do for ourselves is just do everything you want to do in 2 months. I remember there's one of the bills that they're trying to pass that governorship tribunals cases should end in the appeal court. That also would reduce the number of months that is used to adjudicate.
If there's any adjustment to be made to that window, move the general election forward maybe by another month. So you now have 3 months of going to court and everything. It's after that pronouncement that you can now take someone to Eagle Square to say you are now.
Yeah, so the person goes in and they don't have the case.
They don't have these distractions
hanging
because
over their head.
What this means is that if anything happens, say for instance, Supreme Court decides sometime around November, and God forbid for Okpebholo, they say he's no longer the governor. That law also states that Aso Ighodalo will spend 4 years.
Yeah, so he's starting his own.
Do you see what happens again?
Yeah, it messes up a lot of.
If, for instance, the court now says, "Oh no, Okpebholo continues," what it also means is that for 1 year, while he was trying to be governor, he was also under the pressure of the possibility that the court might see difference.
Yeah, that's also possible. That's very possible. But anyway, we'll definitely follow this.
And I think that affects output in a way.
We'll definitely follow the story. But troops of Operation Hadinkai has now announced that they've arrested 18 soldiers and 15 policemen for allegedly selling arms to terrorists and other criminal elements. This might sound like it's a sad thing, but I think this is really good. Why I think so is because whether we like it or not, there are always a little bit of infiltrations here and there.
Look, how many disciples did Jesus Christ have? How many?
12.
But they still had the Judas. Now you're talking about thousands of soldiers and you don't expect Judas to be there. Exactly. Judas' generation did not die. Their father just pretended to commit suicide.
Wow.
Maybe he had done something before the suicide, so they are still in existence. This is one of the best kind of news that you can hear about. Not the fact that there are so many people in the military that have been caught, but the fact that
they're looking inward.
They're looking like that. We were having this discussion with someone that lives up north about 2 years ago, and they were very, very emphatic on the fact that people in the military and police were involved. I know someone that lives in Kaduna that was actually very, they've experienced a lot. They've gone through a lot.
Yeah, so
it's a big shout out to the Nigerian military. If you see the kind of work that they are doing,
it's sad that some people just want to.
The festival of fire. What we must do is remove politics from the military. Don't look at anything from a political angle. The festival of fire that's been happening there.
It's interesting.
Shout out to the entire military and the civilian JTF.
Anyway, now there's now a new AFDB Africa Development President after 10 years. Now Mauritania Citizen is the new Africa Development Bank President, Sidi Ould Tah.
Yeah, I like the fact that Nigeria had that position. There was a re-election based on performance, and he got it again. And thank God for that. And hopefully the new person would improve on what Additional has done in the last decade and take that bank to where it should be also. Okay, so coming from news outside the country, Navy patrol plane in South Korea had a crash today and all 4 crew members actually died. There was also a magnitude 5.1 earthquake that happened in southeastern Iran today. Yeah. A glacier collapse destroyed major part of a Swiss village. So sad. Sorry, that is just sad news that I'm coming up with. Sudan, and I think this is one thing that the world needs to be open to more. People are dying in droves in Sudan. The latest report is about 70 people died in 2 days in Khartoum. I think about 2 days ago, there was news that about 100 people died in a week. Yeah. So it's such a sad one. However, before we leave, let's do a bit of sports. The Super Eagles decided to do Nigeria proud, and it wasn't just because they beat just anybody. It's their arch rivals, Ghana. Yeah, amazing game. I saw that game. Very, very nice game.
Yeah, beautiful it could have been 3-1.
The best
fantastic.
Jollof won, Yeah, we like to call it the Jollof Derby now. You see, again, we have this healthy rivalry with Ghana.
It's healthy.
It is. It's banter most of the time. But I looked at what both coaches did. They actually used a lot of upcoming players, mixed them with experienced players. You know?
I even saw a lot of Premier League Ghanaian players that were not called to the team actually went to say hi to the people in the...
Yeah, so I like that. I must commend the coaches, the Ghanaian and the Nigerian coaches for doing that. But these guys played like they were already part of the team. A lot of them, they were having their debut.
I think they had some things
and all of that. Because you don't get that chance and not use it
well. Shout out to the Remo Star defender. Fantastic play.
They did very well. And if you still look at the head-to-head between Nigeria and Ghana is still way ahead of us. You know, they've beat us more times than we have. I think we've beaten them only 13 or 14 times.
It's now 14 times.
They're beating us like 20 something.
We need to catch up. That number needs to, that gap needs to close. But they did fantastic. Yeah. They did fantastic.
And we're looking forward to the
finals
of the Unity Cup
with Jamaica.
And the Jamaicans are not coming to play at
all. Oh, they're not coming to play.
So there are no excuses that there's no Usime or no Demola. No. It's green, white, green. No. If you like,
game over.
If you like, take under 17 there, it's your problem.
That's your business. Anyway, Chelsea defeated Real Betis 4-1 to win the UEFA Conference League.
Yeah, it was a game of 2 halves. It's funny how in the first half you think like, come on, Chelsea, you're gone.
Yeah, and then second half they get boom.
We don't know what
whatever he said
gave them or told them.
Y'all not coming back up, we better stay with you.
But Cole Palmer is ice cold.
Oh, they came to play. They all came to play.
Rich James joined them and changed the fortunes. Caicedo, everybody just came to that party and they came to party hard. Shout out to them. Sorry, Betis. You were this close, but hey, Chelsea wanted it more.
Yeah.
And now they set a record. They've won. Europa, they've won Champions League. They won Europa twice. I think they won. Yeah, they won Champions League twice too.
They won Europa. They won the Super Cup. Yeah, they won basically all.
So every UEFA Cup that clubs can win. Chelsea has now been the first
team to win all that. Anyway, a bit of transfer news. Saudi Arabian club Al Hilal are ready to splash up to 120 million euros on Victor Osimhen.
Victor, honestly, if you be my brother, I know if you say me, go. But because I just like football, go on, especially the one where they play for Europe, please don't go.
Don't go yet.
Baba, you go still collect this money.
You still just hold on a little bit more.
Man, it's head turning money.
It's a lot of money. Also, Atalanta are now set for 50 million euros for Nigeria's Ademola Lookman.
It's funny how his name doesn't pop up a lot. I've heard about Arsenal and 1 or 2 clubs looking at him. I think Demola deserves a better deal. It looks like the kind of finisher that will thrive if he goes back to England.
England, yes. I think so too. Also, there's talks of Martin Zubimendi officially going to undergo medicals at Arsenal. However, there seems to be a bit of upset here and there. Remember, and I think it was on Boom Sports that we had talked about Warren Watts about going to Liverpool. Looks like Real Madrid wants to hijack that deal.
That's what Real Madrid does.
At this point, it's nothing is sure for anybody until you sign the dotted lines. Also, Bayern has now signed a new German defendant, Jonathan Tah, till 2029.
There was, according to one of the top, they said there's no doubt about that deal. Everybody knew it was going to be a Bayern thing.
Yeah, so it's interesting that we see all these things happening. It's football. The Nigeria Sports Festival. Oh my God! At this point, I'm not sure anybody's beating Delta anymore.
No, they've already won now. The question is how many more medals?
Who is going to be second and third? That's the only conversation.
I even know some people who have shut down their coverage. They're back in Lagos.
They're
not waiting until the
That's just
day.
Wickedness. What's that? What are you people doing?
According to someone, it's entertainment that remains.
What are you people doing? That you are just now doing too much.
So Delta have won it all,
Yeah.
The race now is Bayelsa and Ogun State.
Yeah, but I like the new verve that is happening with this new one, and there are actually a few international athletes that came to join some states and they're doing really well. Some people
Yeah.
got, there's a lot of actually interesting stories that came out of this sports festival.
Yep.
We hope that the next one.
Shout out to Ogun State. They've done their best. They had their own downs too, like
They had
everybody
quite-
else.
Their athletes had a bit of what's it called? Was it yesterday?
They wanted to mess up the governor's birthday. I think his birthday's today. Yeah.
The man as we get it,
But
let's know what we are doing.
But I think they've done well in the area of organization. But there are a lot of complaints about the logistics. Like I said, Ikenne to Ileshan to Abeokuta is not an easy stretch.
Exactly. But anyway, we'll see where those things actually do also affect players' output and all that. But we hope that, everything gets better. We get better at these things. On that note, that is all we have to take today on The Bar. Thank you for listening. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow at 3 p.m. West African time to give you another wonderful edition of The Boom Bar. Do have a beautiful, beautiful day ahead. Peace.